I think I just came up with an absolutely original and crazy theory in Harry Potter. So I was reading it for maybe the 30th time the other day, and I came across something that I have never seen before. And when I did research on this idea to look if anybody else had come up with this idea or thought of it, I looked at all these forums and it was nowhere. Nowhere on Reddit, nothing. So if you've heard this theory before, please let me know. Because this single thing is the most powerful bit of magic that I have ever seen in the entire books. And it happens in the Philosopher's Stone in the 3rd chapter before Harry even knows that he has magical abilities. Now, I do have to admit too that I often kind of compared Harry and Voldemort as they were pre-magical, and I was a bit bummed when it seemed like Voldemort as a child seemed to have a better grasp on magic than Harry did. But before they even went to school, Tom was already, he knew he was magical. He was already controlling his magic and he was already using it against other people, which is, a bit strange. So he's insane. But that kind of magic at that young of age is insane. And when we see that in the books, we're blown away. But Harry, his magic isn't all that remarkable, but there is something significantly more impressive that he does in this 3rd chapter than any control of magic that ever has existed that Tom Riddle did. He actually stops the sun. And it's a small detail that I want to be really clear up front about too, because some people will chalk this up to an error on J.K. Rowling's part, but I don't think that would be the case here. I don't believe in authorial errors on this channel. I attempt to make everything fit into the story, and I approach it that way. So if you don't really like that reading, you don't have to watch this. But I also don't believe that Rowling wouldn't have looked this up and wouldn't have figured this out in the story, because it's a very simple thing. And I want to talk about this one single line. It's after Harry got his first letter taken away by the Dursleys, and then the next day had his letter taken away because Dudley was dumb and yelled that Harry got another letter, and Vernon came plowing in. But Harry hatches a plan in the next section, and this is what the book says. See if you can catch this. Harry walked round and round his new room. Someone knew he had moved out of his cupboard, and they seemed to know he hadn't received his first letter. Surely that meant that they'd try again. And this time, he'd make sure they didn't fail. He had a plan. The repaired alarm clock rang 6 o'clock the next morning. Harry turned it off quickly and dressed silently. He mustn't wake the Dursleys. He stole downstairs without turning on any of the lights. He was going to wait for the postman on the corner of Privet Drive and get the letters for number 4 first. His heart hammered as he crept across the dark hall toward the front door. Now, does anybody see any problems here? The issue that I have is that this is the end of July. We know that because in a few short days, it's Harry's birthday. July sunrises are not at 6 a.m. They are an hour earlier at 5 a.m. And if it's daylight savings time, which we haven't really accounted for, but the sunrise would have been even earlier at 4 a.m. And when Harry creeps downstairs, the hallway is dark, although the sun would have been up for about an hour. Now, you can say, hey, they might have curtains or something blocking the sun, which could be true, but even a little daylight spilling in by the door or by a window or something would have alerted Harry to the fact that his uncle was sleeping by the door. And Harry never saw that coming. And so this is my theory, that Harry Potter, desiring to know what that letter said so badly, and understanding that this was his only real hope, not necessarily of leaving, but something that he hoped just because he needed to hope in something, that he actually stopped daylight from entering Little Whinging so he could sneak downstairs according to his plan to do this under the cover of darkness and attempt to get the letter before anyone else could. Perhaps, and I won't go as far as saying that he stopped the sun, but I think at the very least, he caused darkness to cloud over his neighborhood so he could attempt to get that letter. Because at this point, the sun has been up for about an hour in the world. And the fact that it's still dark in the Dursleys' house makes me think that he actually performed magic to stop the light. If that is true, then this tiny moment, one that passes by just in a few sentences, might actually be the most extraordinary and powerful piece of accidental magic in the entire series. It is much, much, much more impressive than anything that Tom Riddle did before him. Harry, before he even waves a wand, before he knows he's a wizard, His hope and his resilience seem powerful enough to just bend the natural world. And it's not out of anger or pride or fear. These things are the things that fuel Tom Riddle. For Harry, it's out of hope, which is a key theme for the series. And the idea that Harry is unbelievably resilient is one of the key points of these chapters. And that makes it such a perfect glimpse of who Harry is and who he'll become. So even before Hogwarts, even before he knows the word magic, Harry is already doing something miraculous, which is why I think that this moment of darkness is not natural or an author's error, but the most powerful bit of underage magic that the world has ever seen. And Harry did it because of the hope that was in his heart and the desire for a new life. Maybe you totally disagree with me. Or maybe you have something else to add to this. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to, like the video, and let me know if you know anywhere else that this theory has been thrown out there, because I think it's an interesting one. I for sure subscribe to this theory. This is becoming my new headcanon. But like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.